Hey guys, thanks for watching this Camera Live show. Thank you all for the 5,000 plus subscribers. I've already said that, I know, in another video. Anyway, it's me in the flesh. I wanted to make a couple of announcements, talk about a couple of things. First of all, Ferguson, Missouri. So there is a lot of news about that, and recently the news is trying to come out and say that Michael Brown was a wanted criminal. Briefly, I'm going to say the DA, the District Attorney of Ferguson of St. Louis, came out and said that Michael Brown is not and has never been wanted in connection to anything criminal for felony or misdemeanor. He was a good kid. All of these photographs or videos or pictures or whatever that you see of somebody who is black, they don't even look like Mike Brown, is black, is not Michael Brown that was shot to death when a police officer unloaded on his inert body lying on the ground. Yes, the last shots were when Michael Brown was actually on the ground. I am not going to say anything further. I think my very first video talking about Ferguson, Missouri is on point, and I would encourage you to go see that. I would encourage you to go watch that if you just need something else. Ferguson, Missouri is a distraction. It is not of national importance. What is right now of national importance? Obamacare is taking the country into a depression the likes of which this country has never seen. Common Core is trying to push ahead when more and more people are coming to the realization that it is a terrible, terrible policy. First of all, there should not be a centralized, standardized method of teaching children in the various United States. Each state requires something different for their citizens. Each city inside each state requires something different of their citizens. If you have a city that has no financial sector, no business sector whatsoever, what does that city need? It needs to produce financiers, economists, banking. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to survive in the coming global market. You're going to have cities disappear if that were the case. This is of national importance. Benghazi is of national importance. The IRS scandal is of national importance. The Ukraine, Russia, China, Korea, the EU, all vying for that Eastern Europe conflict that's coming to a head is of national importance. I already, nobody watches my videos, I predicted and announced Donetsk at least a month ago now. Nobody watched the video, and now it's all over the news. Why? Because my sources tell you exactly what's going on, what is important. That's why I want to get away from this stupid Michael Brown thing. One cop shot one black kid. The cop is a racist. The cop should be hung by the neck. Yes, that's it. And that's all that anybody ever needs say. We don't need this whole referendum. We don't need a gun confiscation. Of national importance, speaking of gun confiscation, is the Mothers Against Guns. Now, for all of you people who realize that the right to bear arms is to fight against a tyrannical government, and it's not for hunting, it's not for taking care of a burglar. They don't need a law that says you can go hunt and feed yourself. They don't need a law that says you can stop somebody from coming into your house and killing your wife and children. You don't need a law for that. You don't need a law that says you can defend your life. You don't need a law for that. If anybody makes a law that says something against defending your life, then they need to be hung about the neck, and that law needs to be taken off of the books and off of the records. The right to bear arms was for citizens to protect themselves against a tyrannical government. Now you have mothers against guns. And immediately people's reactions is, this group is terrible and it needs to be destroyed. These women who are letting themselves be used in such a malignant way need to be beat about the head, shaken a little bit, slapped around and say, hey, sister, get with it. You're being used. Now, I said that about mothers against drunk drivers because the reality is regular traffic criminal law completely takes care of drunk drivers. There was no need to have DUI laws. But when I said mother against drunk drivers is, well, they're just allowing themselves to be used, people laugh. People say, oh, we heard funny. The reality is drunk driving has been going down. There was never a need to have mothers against drunk drivers. And it's mothers against drunk drivers who then become the poster child for passing a new prohibition law against alcohol. Oh, you have to be 18 to consume alcohol. All that is prohibition for 18 years on everybody. Everybody. In fact, if the police come to your house and somebody under the age of 18 is drinking, they have been known to put the parents in jail, along with the child. Go look it up. It's prohibition. That's all it ever was. And the whole reason that prohibition was taken away was that people said, hey, we have the freedom to consume alcohol if and when we want to. There is no need for government interference with alcohol. Because after a couple of drinks, nobody is affected by alcohol. Nobody. And your liver processes it and it's gone within a couple of days. In comes Mother Against Drunk Driving and they repass Prohibition Light. You have to be 18. And then they said, oh, well, you see, if these kids get drunk and they get behind the wheel of a car, so we're going to stop this by not allowing kids to get drunk. I'm sorry, an 18-year-old is not a kid. A 16-year-old is not a kid. There are people who run away at the age of 14 and they live their lives. It used to be a time in the United States that people who were 13 were considered adults. 13! Now, I know everybody wants to say now, oh, 13, that's not a kid. You're at the age of 13. Humans know the difference between good and bad. That's why 13 is supposedly the age of ascension. For whatever reason, it's 13. Some places it's 14. At age of 13 and 14, you can have children and run a house and work a job. And for the most part, the women are fully grown already. The men are approaching adult size and they keep growing. Men keep growing until they're 20-something. So why did we allow prohibition to seep right back into the books? Not as a federal amendment, but on every state. That's what it is. And except for, I believe, Louisiana, you can actually be served alcohol at 18. Oh, I'm sorry. The prohibition is 21. It's even worse. I'm sorry. So in Louisiana, I think you can be served alcohol at the age of 18. It's prohibition. That's all it is. That's all it ever was. It's prohibition. And it has nothing to do with drunk driving. It is prohibition. These are national issues. Ferguson, Missouri is not a national issue. It is a distraction. Syria. Actually, a lot of those things are also distractions from the real thing, but then if you start talking about that, the mainstream media says you're a conspiracy theorist and you're not worth watching, or you're not worth listening to, and you're not logical, when in fact, And here's something as far as my last video on Ferguson, with the media being shot at and tear gas thrown at them and arrested by police. Then they're saying, oh, wait a minute, what about First Amendment rights? What about freedom of the press? You're not supposed to be able to do that, but they surely are. So these conspiracy theorists have valid points. That's really the only thing that you should take from Ferguson is that the governor is calling the National Guard in. The police are already shooting citizens. The police are shooting the protesters. Remember, there are protesters over here and there are looters over here. Same thing happened in England. They watched England and they saw you can, with the media's help, make the protesters look like looters. And so the police are shooting the protesters. The protesters have signs and they're chanting, this isn't fair, we need fairness, never again, you know. They're protesters. They are shooting the protesters. They are killing and shooting the looters too. So now everybody, including white people, I know you only see black people, including white people, are being shot at, tear gassed, and arrested. Whether they are protesting peacefully or whether they are out there looting peacefully or unpeacefully. And the press is being shot at, tear gassed, and arrested also. That's the only thing that you should take away from this. That's it. That's the only thing of importance to you. Otherwise, it's not a national thing. That means if your governor, if your local police is doing that, you should prepare and get your lawyers ready to go, ready to completely remove and bring a recall vote against the governor, against the mayor. Get those recalls happening immediately. That's what should happen. If that comes to your town, to a town near you, that's what you should be ready to do. And you should be able to be ready to mobilize politically immediately. That's the only takeaway that you need from Missouri. Now, I posted a thing about Korea, which nobody watched. When I say nobody watched, I mean I didn't get 1,000 hits in one day like I did on all of my sports things. 1,000 hits in a day. I don't get that from Korea. Korea is doing exercises where they are shooting missiles into the ocean. Why is North Korea doing that? Because South Korea and the United States are intimidating North Korea and saying that they are going to launch nukes on North Korea. And that they're doing training exercises in preparation for that. So the United States is trying to pick on North Korea. There is nothing in North Korea. There is nothing we want in North Korea. There is no oil, there is no silver, there is no gold, there is no bauxite, there is no copper. There is nothing, absolutely nothing that we want in North Korea. Why are we picking on North Korea? Just 'cause. We're picking on North Korea to usher in World War III, because then China is going to get involved. Russia is going to get involved. That's what's going to happen. We are trying that in the Ukraine. And we're lying about the Ukraine. Let me tell you, Donetsk is not rebelling against the Ukraine. Donetsk has already declared themselves an independent nation, accepted already by the international community. Georgia has accepted them. Russia has accepted them. Some of the countries in the EU have accepted them. Why? Because Donetsk is rich. It's good in manufacturing. It is actually rich. It's a rich area, and it provides, I believe, 70% of the manufacturing for the rest of the Ukraine. So they're trying to get it back under Ukraine, and that is why the Ukrainian parliament completely left. That is one of the reasons that the Ukrainian parliament stepped down. I wish we could get our parliament to step down, both the House and the executive branch. These are national issues. That other stuff? No. Who cares? It's just like Trayvon Martin. Who cares? It's a distraction. And it's all over the news. You see it all over the news. And they're trying to say Mike Brown was a big, huge criminal because he's black. He was not a big, huge criminal. He was a good kid headed for college, headed for university. He was already in talks to get a football scholarship at the local university. He has never, ever been involved in any crime, whether it's a convenience store or anything. He's never been involved in a crime. And there's so people who just, oh, I saw it in the news, I saw it in the news, I believe it. You believe it because you're a sheep. The district, I think the district attorney would know because he's the one who has to prosecute Michael Brown. There are over 2,000 Michael Browns in St. Louis, in St. Louis alone, yeah. It is, I tried to look for Michael Brown. I could not find him. I tried to find pictures of Michael Brown. Other than the pictures that the news organizations took of the actual incident, I could not find a picture of Michael Brown. I found thousands of Michael Browns, hundreds of thousands, millions of Michael Browns, but I did not find that Michael Brown. Somebody put a picture up of a light-skinned guy with a head half the size of the kid that was shot and said that that was Michael Brown. This person was holding a gun. It looked nothing like. Are white people really that bad at telling black people from each other? Come on. I mean, such a obviously not the right person. The black guy didn't even look like the Michael Brown. Okay, so just so we have it clear. Distraction, Common Core, Obamacare, the lawsuit happening, the impeachment that is happening, that people want to get away from, the IRS scandal, the VA scandal, Hillary Clinton and Obama coming at odds and not agreeing on the same strategy. She came out against the White House. So now the White House is scrambling. This is the things that you are missing. Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show.